what's the risk range on XLRE? And then he also commented a little bit on eyeball, that kind of thing. So Zach, I don't want this to come across like I'm being mean, but that question needs to be better, and it doesn't really belong in the macro show, right? At least the way it's worded right there. The macro show isn't to get risk ranges. The macro show is to really try to help, everybody make better decisions on a global macro scale so we can execute and make money, right? We can preserve, protect, compound. That's the goal, right? So I just want to say that out there. We can all get better. And I think it's Zach, right? I don't know if you're a new user or veteran, and honestly, it doesn't really bloody matter. But we can all get better if we ask and kind of tweak some of our questions on the macro show and refocus our energy to really try to get to the core root of things that are important and that are important or changing in the moment, right? In the day, that day, or kind of that's going to influence next week, next month, next year, right? That's what we really need to do, right? So I just want to get that out of the way, and I'll, in a minute, kind of comment on how I would have phrased the question, because it's a good question, right? It's a good question. XLRE, it's influenced by rates, right? It's a rate sensitive, typically a rate sensitive exposure, right? And so it's a good question in general. And you called out the eyeball discount, another good question. But so the simple thing, and Generon, if you don't mind pulling out the out bucket, I just want to reiterate that the out bucket does exist. It's at the bottom of the risk range product. And there is where any asset that's been removed from the risk range product, Keith puts it down in the out bucket, and then he updates the trend, right? So you can see there, I don't think it's behind me, but you can see there that XLRE is bearish trend. It was removed on May 5th. Gold miners are there, GDX, so you can see it's bullish trend, and energy is neutral, right? So XLE. That was removed just a couple weeks ago on the 1st of December. So, it's there. So again, that's kind of why asking for the risk range, I get it. I know you want the actual number, and I get that. But you're starting off from, if you're looking at that out bucket and you have the risk range product and not just the macro show, then you can see that XLRE is bearish trend. So right there, you're ahead of the curve, right? So you're already ahead of the curve. You're calling out the eyeball discount. Again, another good call out, right? So the eyeball discount, head of the curve, XLRE has had a pretty significant move. But basically at the end of the day, right, it's bearish trend. So that's kind of all you really need to know. And again, I'm not trying to belittle the question, because I understand why you want the risk range, so you can understand how to better execute and where to execute. But you also have to build out your process a little bit, right? So that you are comfortable in executing, in that timing. Again, the XLRE bearish trend is you're already ahead of the curve. So really just, again, focusing on your process, getting comfortable when you want to execute, that kind of thing, is going to help you help basically really elevate you and make money. So in my opinion, right, if for the macro show, if it was framed slightly differently, we could really get some actionable kind of intel from Keith on how to think about REITs. So the way I would have asked the question, and I'm going to read this verbatim, is with the recent signal shift in both the U.S. Treasury 30-year and the U.S. Treasury 10-year, how might the longer end of the curve impact a traditionally rate-sensitive exposure like XLRE? I see the bearish signal within the out bucket, as well as an eyeball discount with a minus 1.6 times trailing 12-month Z-score. Post, and then you could also highlight, just made about a 16% kind of counter trend move from the October 14th lows, and follow up with a great interview with David Salem yesterday. Again, I'm going to reiterate how awesome that interview was. David Salem is an absolute gem, and I think there's so many pieces in that interview that you could really take home and help improve your process, improve your, reevaluate your principles, reevaluate, just how to be better, basically. So again, I'll leave it with there. Zach, I love you, man. You're from Newfoundland. Totally awesome. But everybody, let's just get better, right? Let's get better. Let's get these questions so that we can really try to get a better feel for how to pivot and position the portfolio, and help coach get to answers, and that's going to really elevate all of us, so we're freaking just nailing it, right? So let's do it.